Okay, we're gonna be doing our new ATC member orientation on Monday next week. And then we'll be onboarding everyone in our next meeting. All of our members who are stepping off will be gone and all of our new members will be here. So we'll have a little transition, but we have 7 people coming on.
Great.
5 people are leaving the committee, but we had 2 vacancies. So that's why we're bringing on 2 new people or 7 new people. So it'll be a big transition.
Five.
So actually get a chance to introduce himself next time then, or?
Oh, actually, why don't you introduce yourself now? Thanks for saying that. What's your story?
Okay, yeah, my name's Ash, or actually, I've lived in Eugene about 5 years and, you know, in my family, we always try to bike or walk anywhere that's practically possible. It's kind of like our family policy. And luckily we live in an area where that's possible. And so I've been thinking in recent years about how I could advocate more for pedestrians and bikers. So this seemed like a fun opportunity. I also have a daughter at South and she bikes everywhere too. So I'm especially concerned with bike safety now. My professional background is in engineering and math education and data science. So if this committee ever gets to look at like traffic data or survey data, I would be super excited about that. Hey, but I'm just excited to help out any way I can. So thanks for having me.
Okay. Yeah, I've got like 600 something responses to the protected bikeway survey that I need help with. I'll reach out to you. Okay, introductory remarks. Good evening, everyone. My name's Willow, and I am the Eugene staff representative for this meeting. Before we convene the meeting, I have a few reminders and introductory words. I'd like to begin tonight by acknowledging that the meeting is being held on Kalapuya Alihi, the traditional indigenous homelands of the Kalapuya people, whom continue to make contributions in their communities here and across the land we now refer to as Oregon. The purpose of the Active Transportation Committee is to advise the City of Eugene staff and community organizations and partners on the implementation of Eugene's pedestrian and bicycle strategic plan, to represent community and constituent interests in transportation planning decisions, and to provide feedback to staff on projects related to walking and bicycling. Eugene staff will consider recommendations from the ATC along with input from other members of the public during decision-making processes. Please keep in mind that this meeting is being both recorded and live streamed to YouTube, meaning that it can be viewed on the City of Eugene's Transportation Planning YouTube channel both right now and in the future. All verbal and written commentary will be held in the public record. Today's meeting begins with a 15-minute public comment period. The public comment period is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the Active Transportation Committee on transportation-related issues. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. When it is your time to speak, please give your name, city of residence, and if you live in Eugene, your ward or neighborhood. We'll begin with those joining us online. If you're online and would like to speak, please use the raise hand feature within Zoom now, and I will unmute your microphone at that time. Bring this over. We don't have any ATC members online, but it looks like there are a few people. Okay, we'll start with Abby. Abby, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Oh, hang on. Hang on, Abby. We've got a little bit of a weird audio. It's echoing. I went live stream on YouTube, so the YouTube was playing in the background with like a weird lag. Okay. Sorry, tech problems. Where did the Zoom go? Oh, there it is. It got tiny. There we go. Testing. Okay, Abby, you should be good now.
Okay. Yeah, I was just popping in to say hi. I sent a message in the chat. I wasn't able to make it in person today. But yeah, I was recently offered a member position on the committee and happy to be here.
Oh, lovely. Okay, I see what we've got going on here. A couple new ATC members are here online.
Good.
Lovely. Thanks for being here. Sorry I missed the chat. before we started. Abby, is there anything else you want to say before we hand it over to others?
To talk about transportation, just thinking about the upcoming project for 24th, I would love to hear more on that, what the committee's thoughts are so far for solutions as far as specifically the intersection with Alder.
We're laughing because that comes up a lot. So I think a lot of people are on the same page with that. Okay, great. Thanks for being here. Okay, next person who has their hand raised is Angela. Angela, I've allowed you to speak, so you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that little picture of me. That's nice. Um, I just saw this in a newsletter and thought I would check it out. I just got an e-bike a week and a half ago, and I am loving it and just zipping around town. So thank you for all the work that you've done so far. I've been able to go all the way from my home in South Eugene up in the hills, which is why I got an e-bike, all the way to North Coburg area pretty quickly on mostly bike lanes and bike paths. So that's awesome. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, excellent. I had one frustration right out of the gate, so I just wanted to throw that out there. And it was the first time I went across town, I went on High Street, and I hit like every red light on the way, and then I realized that my light was staying red longer because the potential for cars to turn left in front of me. So I just wanted to throw that out there that was a disappointment for me that I couldn't just kind of cruise down High Street. And then I also had a question wondering if there's been much thought in a place to lock bikes up securely. I just was kind of like, I haven't spent much time brainstorming, but I'm like, it'd be nice if there was like a bike cage or something like that. So I'm not sure how much thought has gone into that, but that's stopped me a lot trying to figure out how I would feel comfortable leaving my bike securely outside, even locked with a kryptonite lock. So just wanted to see if you guys had suggestions related to that or any thoughts related to that.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I can take a quick second to respond. So, we just had a protected bike lane survey that was out, and we heard a lot about High Street. I haven't quite coded that survey yet and put the responses all together, but we probably will be hearing from we'll have some more data to support your personal experience as well. So stay tuned for that. And based on the sort of data we get from the protected bikeway survey, our team may look at trying to adjust the way that signals are run. Right now, they're run for like number one top priority is safety, and we're hearing from the community that we may want to adjust our priorities a little bit, and have flow and convenience rank a little bit higher. So just working through that. So we hear you on that one. As far as secure bike locking goes, the city does recognize that it's a concern. We have several bike lockers in the downtown area that are called Bike Link, and they're really affordable. I think it's like 4 or 5 cents a minute. So say you were going to go to Portland for the weekend and you bike to the Amtrak station, you could put your bike in there and it would be in that locked box the whole weekend. And when you got back, I think it'd only be like $2.50. So it's like pretty affordable. It's a low cost, but they are only in the downtown area. So if you want to research those, if you just type in Eugene bike lockers on Google, a page will come up, and you can explore those some more. If you have a desire to see those in other parts of town, that would be something that our team would be really interested to hear. We don't really see a lot of usership of those. It could be a combination of people don't know about them. And I think with the e-bike growth, the desire for them might increase. So if we do feel like there are other parts of town that we should pursue having those bike lockers, that would be something we would be interested to hear about. Okay.
Amazon's Pool has some as well.
Oh, does Amazon Pool have some? Yeah, there might be more around town than just the downtown ones, but I don't know if those are whether the city purchased those or whether there's some other organization. Okay, thanks, Angela. Is there anyone else online who would like to speak? Nancy, oh, Nancy is here also, and another incoming member from the ATC. Nancy, if you want to, you can introduce yourself. I'll give you the allow to talk if you would like. If not, that's okay. All right. I'm actually gonna. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm just bringing Abby and Nancy up here so that both of you can unmute yourself at any time if you want to, since you're sort of part of the committee now. You don't have to be off on the just attendees list. Okay. Okay, we've got a couple people who are here from the public. So we'll start with, it looks like Connie would like to speak. Hi, Connie.
Again, unfortunately, over the last couple of months, a moment to remind ourselves of the pedestrians and bicyclists that have been, I believe they were, that one person was killed in the last couple of months. I mean, it's so ongoing. And just to add my own personal moments again, yesterday I was at that very busy intersection of West 11th where Fred Meyer is. I'm walking over to the MX station, so I'm going from south to north across 11th right at noon, so totally bright, not raining. I hit the walk button, it flashes, and there's a big green truck that comes right, and he's been sitting there, and I'm standing here, totally visible. He comes right around, totally ignoring that right in front of me. So I screamed obscenities about his personal properties, and then he sort of slowed down a little, but he still kept going, you know. And I had to walk across the way to the bus and say, apologize to everybody for what I said to the guy, but there's another, I hope I get something printed soon in the weekly about if you are so old that you cannot see. Well, I can say it, I'm 75. If you're so old that you can no longer see that walk sign, and that's why you're plowing through and trying to kill me and everyone else, you know, it's time to quit driving. So hopefully I'll get that editorial in the weekly.
Thanks, Connie. Thanks for sharing. Rachel.
Yes.
Hi.
Hey. Everybody. Good to see you again. I wanted to give a little public comment related to my job at the U of O. I'm the active transportation coordinator. And so January 2025, the bike program, Office of Sustainability, and my department, Transportation Services, are partnering to start a bicycle commuter club. We're gonna have our first meeting in January. We're excited to start this and see where it goes. We have some ideas, but it's like kind of, we'll see what happens and what enthusiasm there are for different things. But having like a once a month meeting after work, kind of right after work at the bike program at the EMU, where folks from U of O can show up and talk about their experiences with active transportation, meet each other. We have, you know, ideas of maybe like collecting interest in a bike buddy program and then like matching people who are commuting to U of O by bike or bus and trying to get some of those connections made. Perhaps having speakers show up at these monthly meetings who can talk about different information and educational kind of opportunities, and then maybe some incentives like discounts from local bike shops for so trying to get some more encouragement going for UO bike commuters or active transportation commuters in January.
Yeah, that's for everyone, like students, staff.
Students,
Yeah,
staff,
faculty,
faculty. I
yeah.
mean, we're not gonna like check UIDs,
No,
so
right.
anyone could show up, but yes. The whole thing. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. It'll be the fourth Tuesday of every month. So that'll be January 28th will be the first one. I can send an announcement out through the InMotion newsletter.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Send it to you.
Mhm.
Share.
Cool. Thanks.
Great.
You have a time of day, Tuesday?
What's that?
You have a time of day?
It'll probably be 5:30 to 6:30 at the EMU bike program. And that's gonna be Tuesday, January 28th.
If you ever want to have like an organized presence from ATC members or transportation staff or something, just let me know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay, that concludes our public comment period, so we can move into the next agenda item.
The next agenda item is to approve the November meeting notes. Anybody, any comments or feedback? Favor,
Move to approve.
seconds, all those in favor? Great, looks like they're approved. Next, we're gonna talk about the 2024 year in review projects. And Willow's gonna give us an update on those.
Cool. Okay, great. So we have like a half hour for this, so I think we don't have to like rush, which is a nice feeling. I'm gonna, well, let me ask you all. So, okay, let me get my head screwed on straight here. Okay, I'm gonna be doing a year in review presentation right now about what the transportation planning team accomplished. And I'm mostly focusing on accomplishments that are tangible. So things that were built, events that were run, and planning projects that had like a really specific outcome. We also work on a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily have like a tangible outcome yet. So that would end up like the Lincoln Street Protected Bikeway planning process, for example, isn't on here because nothing's really come from that yet. That would probably end up on the 2025 or 2026 year in review when it gets built. So I have kind of three categories for 2024 that we looked at. We've got a variety of capital projects. We did a ton of capital projects, but these are the highlights for the ones that had the most bike and walking specific infrastructure improvements. We also did a lot of just general paving projects, stormwater projects, wastewater improvement, that kind of stuff. The second piece is the events that my team ran, which was really fun and would love to get some feedback on. And then just a few other little things that I feel like are worth mentioning. So my thought here is that we could go one by one, sort of talk about the project a little bit and what the main elements were, and then get feedback sort of from you all or do a little debrief about what you thought about each project one by one, or I could kind of run through the presentation and then we could go back to the stuff that you feel like you all want to talk about. Curious if there's one that feels like it makes more sense to you.
I would think maybe go through them all just because of get talking about one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, a conversation could spiral, so it might be nice to get through it and then see how much time we have left. Okay, great. That makes more sense too, because we can go through it with the lights off, and then when we get to the conversation part, we can turn them back on so we can see each other. Okay, capital projects. I'm basically just collected pictures for all the capital projects that we did this year that had a walk and bike component, and I just wanted to give you all an opportunity to sort of see them and talk through some of the main elements. So the first one that comes to mind is the 8th Avenue streetscape. This took 2 years to do construction. It did end up being finished ahead of schedule, despite how long it took. People really were like, why is this so delayed? And it wasn't ever delayed. It was just a full reconstruction of a street, making a one-way street into a two-way street with protected bike lanes, like down to the gravel and back up. So it was just a really intensive construction project. So this one is Eugene's kind of first bi-directional protected bike lanes, meaning it's a two-way street and there are protected bike lanes on either side of the street. We have concrete curbs protecting it along part of the way, and then the protected bikeways kind of goes into the park blocks, which is a curbless street for a couple blocks, which I don't have any pictures of up here, which probably would have been nice to have, but I couldn't find any. I would have had to go take them and I didn't have time. So that's the 8th Avenue streetscape, and we can come back to this and do feedback after I get through them. Next one's the High Street Bikeway, which we heard about during public comment, and I think most people in here are really familiar with. High Street Bikeway has a combination of concrete protection, bollard protection. It's got green paint throughout the whole thing, and it's got this fun little diagonal crossing, which I feel like is an important project component. This one was significantly delayed on construction due to some signal pole back order resulting from the COVID pandemic. This one, maybe you have heard about, maybe you haven't, but Howard Avenue, which is out off of River Road, this project is also a flagship project. The first time our team has ever built a protected walking and biking space on an unimproved street. So you'll see on this street, it doesn't have sidewalks or curb or gutter or anything like that. It used to just be a painted shoulder. It wasn't even technically a bike lane. This street goes straight to Howard Elementary and has tons of neighborhoods around it, and the kids were walking and biking just on, in the shoulder. So this is the first time we've ever built something like this. It's basically a protected bike lane, but it's also a sidewalk kind of. It's like a shared use path on the street. And some of the benefits of this project are that it maintains kind of that unimproved street feel. There's no sidewalks. You don't have to have curb and gutter. It protects street trees, because if you do curb, gutter, and sidewalks, any trees that are nearby the street have to be removed. So this, we didn't have to remove any trees for. So it's an interesting project, and so far just overwhelmingly supportive. Like, now that it's built, people are like, this is the greatest thing ever. Even people who were like, I was very skeptical about this, and now that it's built, like, kids are just using it like crazy. So really encouraging, and our team is like, this seems like a good model, and maybe we can slowly start to put them on other unimproved streets, especially in the River Road Santa Clara neighborhood that just have a lot of these kind of streets. It's also a lot more affordable than building a full curb gutter bike lane project. So that one's really cool. The 24th and Amazon Crossing. This is a project that our team did that was supposed to be an improvement. We removed a center median. I think, let's get up here. Right. Oh, you know what I'm realizing? Wow, I've made it through so much of this, and I'm realizing I never shared the screen. I'm so sorry, online people. I'm just not with it today on tech stuff. Okay. I'm just gonna go back really quick in case you wanted to see the Howard one, because that one's just so cool. Oh my God, computers. Okay. In case the online people wanted to see this one. Okay. So a few things to note about this project. If you look at the before, this bike lane right here was actually only 5 feet wide on either side. It's pretty narrow. And now the bike lane is 6 feet wide with 2 feet of buffered space. So if you are biking along 24th, the experience is improved. This concrete section was supposed to be a speed table, but it was built with such a gentle slope that it's really gentle. When you drive over it, you don't even necessarily notice that it is a speed bump. So I think that is a learning experience for our team. You'll also see there's like this little, on the right, this little yellow curb with this ramp up onto the path, which I think is an improvement as well. So some things that are cool, some things that I think have made it challenging, and we can go back to this and discuss feedback on that once we get to it. Fernridge Path lighting. Fernridge Path got a big upgrade this year with underpass lighting and lighting along the path. On that right side photo, you'll see those are solar lights. So there's a bunch of path lighting all across town that's totally out right now because there's been this organized crime of stealing the copper out of all the lights, like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of copper, like $350,000 worth of copper have been stolen by people who rent like heavy machinery and remove these big blocks. That middle picture, you can see that block there. Is on top of the control panel where the copper is, and they'll rent heavy machinery and move the blocks and get in there and pull all the copper out. So anyway, we haven't been able to catch them. They've been stealing. So the solar lights are kind of a solution to that because every single light is independent of each other. If someone messes with the control panel with the copper, the like lights that are connected to the grid, if you mess with that, it takes out a whole string, like a whole section of lights, where with these, if someone messes with one of them, it just takes out that one light. So they'd have to go light to light to light. And most of the materials are at the top of the light. So they'd have to somehow get all the way up there, which if they can rent heavy machinery, I wouldn't put it past them, but they do have to go light to light to light instead of being able to pull out a bunch of copper all from one spot. So anyway.
How long have those new ones been in place?
Recent.
Okay.
Yeah, like in the last month or so. Yeah. The MLK Transit and Safety Project. So this took MLK Boulevard, which was previously 4 travel lanes and 1 center turn lane along some of it, down to just 2 travel lanes and 2 bus and turn only lanes or BAT lanes. So the purpose of that was to help slow traffic down. People were going very fast on this street because it felt kind of like a highway, not a lot of intersections, very wide. People hitting 55, 60 on a 35, or maybe it was 40. I think it was previously 40. We also put an advisory speed limit reduction of 30 miles per hour. This project has had a lot of community backlash. Me and some of the communications people have just been in a lot of conversation with people who really don't like this project. So that's been an interesting one. The River Road at Irving Protected Intersection. Speaking of community backlash, this project was significantly delayed in construction, and this intersection was closed or really like constrained in how many cars could get through it for about a year, which made a lot of the community extremely upset, rightfully so. Like ongoing construction like that that's just delayed and there's cones and ripped up street and nothing's happening for months is really, really frustrating. Unfortunately, it was out of the city's hands because the utilities communicated us that we were ready. We got in there, started ripping stuff up. The utilities weren't ready. We had to pause what we were doing while they took several months to get the utilities into their correct spots. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's not really our fault, but it's our project. And at the end of the day, we have to take responsibility for it. So that's the construction side of things. On the actual built environment side of things, these pictures, they're not quite done yet, but this is Eugene's first ever protected intersection. These red curbs here are truck aprons, and they're designed to make people who are driving passenger vehicles, your standard sedan, SUV, you know, regular sized truck, even slightly larger trucks can make a turn, make a right turn, where they come out and then they make a sharp right turn and they go this way. Truck apron is for anyone who's towing anything, larger vehicles, semi-trucks, that kind of thing. You have to go about 10 miles an hour in order to successfully make that turn. So it's been a big learning curve for people. They're used to taking turns at 20, 25. And if you take this turn at 20 or 25, especially like here, you're gonna end up over here. Or you're gonna have to drive on this red curb and get kind of this like jarring sensation. So we've just heard from a lot of community members that it's impossible to drive in, and it is if you're going fast. It is like you can't make those turns and go fast at the same time. So we're doing a lot of education around how if you're a driver, you really have to slow down in order to make the turns, and that is the actual purpose of the intersection. Like that was on purpose, which people aren't happy about from a driving perspective. From a biking perspective, it also requires different behavior. If you are a confident cyclist and you've been biking this intersection for a long time and you are on River Road, like this picture, you're on River Road and you want to turn left, like your chance to turn left as a vehicle is a little bit more limited. And the new design actually wants you to bump up onto here and then go straight and then go straight. So making a 2-stage turn with those green paths. It's not required. Like if you want to shoulder check and get out into the lane and get into that left turn lane, you can. But this is supposed to basically be an intersection that is more an all ages and abilities intersection. You'll see right now that there's a giant signal pole right in the spot where the bikers are supposed to go. That is like in the process of getting removed, and you can see in this picture there's double signals. So those old signals are coming out and the new signals are going in. And my understanding is that there are bike signals, but I don't know for sure what's happening there
They're
until
not turned on yet. I was just.
there's okay, you're just out there.
They're just masked.
So they're still got the yellow thing on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. It's not quite done yet. Like once the signals are finished and unveiled and the old signals are taken out, then we'll really get to understand what the experience is of the intersection properly.
That pole is down, but the big concrete baseboard
It's
is
still there. You still have to like weirdly go around it. Yeah.
Is there any signage that tells cars they have to go slow around that
No.
corner? Okay.
No. We were able to get the KEZI folks to come out and do a big sort of featured news story about it, which was interesting. And we're just doing communications, but there's no signage out there. Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of schools on it.
I believe there are schools on Irving. And the other thing about this intersection that people are like, why would you put this here, all the way out here? Like, there are not that many people who walk or bike out here. But we had to completely rebuild this intersection regardless. Like, it needed a full rebuild. And we could have fully rebuilt it in the old standard, which is just classic intersection. But we were like, if we're going to rebuild an intersection, let's bring it up to the new standard, which is protected intersections. So it is kind of random a little bit that it's out there, but we don't rebuild intersections very often. So this was an opportunity. The second piece is that this street, like if we were making a right turn onto this street, this is Hunsaker, and Hunsaker is an unimproved street right now, just like Howard, but that one is getting curb, gutter, sidewalks, and bike lanes added. And that street connects directly to a shared use path that goes to the river path. So once that happens, this becomes much more of a network. Right now, it isn't really so much, and people are kind of like, why are you doing this?
Is that scheduled for?
2026. Few other honorable mentions. We've been doing some sidewalk infill just in various parts of town when we have a little bit of that bond money or when it makes sense with another project. If there's a stretch that just is missing sidewalks, we've been putting sidewalks in. In a similar vein with the paving projects, if we're building or we're doing new ADA sidewalk ramps and repaving a street, at places where we expect to see more walking and biking, we've been adding bump outs to decrease the walking distance, the crossing distance, and help people slow down. Like that's basically a bump out. Like that red curb is basically a bump out, but it's a mountable bump out, whereas these are like not mountable bump outs. But either way, it requires a shorter, sharper turn, like a slower, sharper turn rather than a wide, fast turn. We've put in 3 new bridges, 2 of them at parks. Actually, all 3 of them are within parks. There's the new one on Amazon, which opened today. They took the fence down. Earlier this afternoon, I got a message from the project manager who was like, footbridge is open as of today. So it's open, everybody. I've been definitely getting pestered by the community because they're like, it's totally done. There's a stupid fence. Take the fence down. So a couple new bridges, Santa Clara Community Park, Amazon, and one other one that I'm forgetting right now. And then traffic calming. We had a couple different traffic calming projects. The most important one was the Bailey Lane, which is right in front of a middle school, I think. High school or middle school, yeah. Right in front of a middle school. Significant speeding concern there, and we added speed bumps, and it's made a really big difference already during a repaving project. So we're able to combine those together. So that's the capital projects that we did this year. Yay. Let's go through a couple events. We've got the Bright Parade, the E-Bike Expo, Breakfast at the Bike Bridges. All 3 of those events, well, Breakfast at Bike Bridges event series, but all of them are really successful this year. Each year it feels like they get slightly more successful than the previous. Which is cool. We had, I think, six like kid learn to rides and 2 adult learn to rides, which is basically where the city, along with a bunch of different partners, LCOG, City of Springfield, Safe Process School, Shift Community Cycles, like a bunch of different partners, put these events together and teach the community members how to ride bikes. The adult learn to ride was very heartwarming. A lot of people in their 40s, 50s coming out and learning how to ride a bike for the first time. Parking Day, which was a downtown event where we took, I think, 6 or 7 parking spots and sort of explored the potential of that space. If it wasn't parking, what could it be? It could be a garden, it could be a game room, it could be anything. It could be an art space. So we just spent the day, beautiful weather, hanging out on the street. May is Bike Month. Was a big coalition-based event series that you all are very familiar with. And then we had October just recently, and lastly, the Vision Zero Summit, which was a really cool time for both professionals and community members to come together and sort of check in on the progress of the Vision Zero program, which, as a reminder, is the idea that no loss of life or serious injury on our streets is acceptable. It's a goal to have zero loss of life or serious injury. Okay, last few things. The downtown transit study, which you all were pretty involved in as Jody came and LTD came, and we kind of looked at different options. There was the larger circulator and the smaller circulator. LTD and the city applied for STIF funding, which is the Transportation Improvement Fund, and we just won $1.2 million, which is really exciting and a little bit surprising. Like, we applied, but we didn't know if we'd actually get it, and we did. Which is really cool. So in the next couple years, we'll probably be talking to you all more about like, what do we do? Like, we have a vision, right? We have these two circulators. Which one are we going to run? How are we going to brand it? How are we going to talk about it? What's it going to look like? How are we going to get people to ride it? All of that stuff. So that's coming soon because of the new funding we just got.
That's great. So would that go toward buying vehicles or what? I had no idea how.
I
How
imagine.
far does $1 million go?
Yeah, okay. Not as far as you would hope. I imagine a good portion of it would go to driver salaries. Potentially a vehicle purchase if we decide to run this one, which is on the screen, which is the smaller circulator. They can't use a regular LTD bus for that because it has to get into those small riverfront streets. So that would require a new vehicle. So those would probably be the two big costs out of that $1.2 million. Move this guy. So we had this was the first year we ran the New Movers program, which is anyone who moves to Eugene gets like looking at Angie because this has been like Angie's life as our intern. You. And so Angie's an intern for the City of Eugene's transportation planning team, and she has been instrumental in putting together these packets. But basically, if you move to Eugene, Angie here puts together a packet and sends it to you in the mail. And it basically says, welcome to Eugene. Here in Eugene, we get around walking, biking, and taking the bus. Here's all the ways that you can do that. That's part of our culture. It's part of our, it's part of the way that we live here. So every single person gets that. And within there, there's if you want more information about one of these modes, fill out this form and we'll send you additional info. So there's a walking kit, a biking kit, a family exploration kit that's kind of kid oriented, a transit kit. Oh, okay, cool. Short-term rental. Oh. Car share and Peace Health bikes. Okay, so like shared mobility kit. So out of the 2,300 packets we sent, welcome packets, that's every single person gets those. We had 348 people who responded and basically said, like, I do want more information about one of these modes. So that's a 15% opt-in rate, which is really good. For comparison, PBOT and Portland Bureau of Transportation has the same program and they have about a 6 to 8% opt-in rate. So we're doing pretty good there. And even if people don't opt in, that welcome packet has a lot of information in it already. So just that little nudge, I feel like, can go a long way. So Angie and Jeanette have been like the main people running this, and it definitely would not happen without you. Do you know?
Usually change the benefits forms, there's like the data access. So like she goes in and like whoever's moved from 20 miles or more into the they like get compiled into a little list. And yeah, I think they use a bunch of different websites and like a bunch of different information to like gather like who's moved into new addresses in Eugene. So
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
there have been a few people who are like, how did you get my address?
Yeah.
Public information. I don't know.
Definitely not perfect or exact science, but pretty good. And like Angie said, it's anyone who's 20 miles into it. So I don't know if you can move 20 miles within the UGB. I don't think.
Probably not, but it's like kind of to like we're not gonna send one to someone who moved from Coburg. basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like if you move within Eugene, you're not gonna get one. It's just for people who are sort of moving into Eugene. Okay, last thing is just the grants we got this year. Already mentioned the 1.2 million stiff grant for transit in downtown. We got a $384,000 grant for SS4A stands for Safe Streets for All grant. And it's a first and last mile study. So basically we have money for staffing and equipment to look at first and last mile from transit stops. So if there's a transit stop, what does it look like to get to and from that transit stop? That's kind of the city's purview, where the location of a transit stop is the transit agency. So they put a stop, but if there's no crosswalk or it's really dangerous or it feels uncomfortable, that's kind of our business. And this money will help us study those and compile a list and start planning for how to improve first and last mile connectivity. We also have 3 Safe Routes to School grants that are being scoped. What that means is that they've moved into the next phase of being awarded, but they haven't officially been awarded yet, but we do expect them to. I don't know if you all remember, it was like maybe 8 or 9 months ago, a guy came in here about Chambers at 22nd. And we were supposed to add this little 1-block protected bikeway, and there was a big funding issue, and we ended up repaving Chambers without doing it. And there were several community members who were like so upset. We are expecting to get grant funding in order to put that in. So that is super, super exciting. Also putting a crosswalk at Cesar Chavez across 14th, which is just a plain old striped crosswalk. The reason that hasn't been there yet is because there are no curb cuts. And so that project will create curb cuts and add a crosswalk. And then a rapid flashing beacon on Royal at Prairie Mountain School in Bethel. So that's some of our grants. And that's my presentation. That's what we did this year. Yay. Okay, I'll turn the light on and we can kind of go. We've got 20 minutes.
6:15.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
Wow, we had so many things we did. I took up so much time talking.
It looked like a big list when you put it up.
I was hoping to get through a little faster, but I kind of got into the nitty gritty on it a little bit. Okay, what do we want to talk about? We've got 10 minutes. Yeah.
So, just a comment, on the 8th Street bike lanes, in some ways they're wonderful, and if you're making a left turn, they're not so wonderful. So I think about particularly like Charlton and 8th.
Yes, that's where my office is, and it's so frustrating. Lacking permeability.
Well, I mean, I still haven't worked out how to do it. Now, I guess I do a 2-stage left turn in the crosswalks, but there's no place to pull really into the lane. Anyway, that's enough, y'all know that.
Okay. So are you talking about at the intersection or trying to make a left turn mid-block? Like onto some other?
Especially the intersection of 8th and Charlton.
Okay, because I do believe that the bike signal should give you a protected left. Like if the bike signal turns green, you can make a left.
From the bike?
Mm-hmm. Which is an educational thing that we have to do. But the idea with the bike signals is that if you have a green bike signal, no other traffic is supposed to be happening, meaning you can turn in any direction. But Charlton, like that block between Olive and Charlton, there's a parking lane there and there's the concrete curb. So if you're trying to make a mid-block left turn, you're kind of trapped in the bike lane. And that is something we have heard as like a learning lesson and some feedback from 8th is that there's lack of permeability, which is gaps for the biker to get out if they're trying to turn into a business or make a left turn out of the bike lane. Okay, it looks like we've got a reminder, we're doing the sideways name tag thing for speaking, so. Mary and then Peter?
Okay, well, I noticed that it seemed to me, I know that there's been a lot of bicycle infrastructure in South Eugene, and this to me looked like it was all over Eugene, which is good to see, and it looked like a lot of work. It made it, I thought it looked really impressive. I guess I'm going off the committee, but something seems like it might be good to use this as a, setting some agenda items, because there might be some of these too. I'm so sorry. There might be some of those to visit, and maybe do a site visit or evaluate and then come up with some recommendations from the ATC. It seems like a good jumping off point.
Just capturing that thought. Peter.
Yeah, back to 8th Street, I love the stormwater planters, I love the, view of them. They're quite uncomfortable to walk next to, because there's kind of like pits that I feel like I'm gonna trip into. And in Chicago, planters are pretty common, and most of them have these like 2-foot tall cast iron fences around them. Which just make it, they're there so you don't trample the planters in Chicago, but I think you could also put them here so people don't feel like they're gonna fall in or literally fall in, especially around the farmers market where lots of people, big pits in the ground. So yeah, for future installations or maybe in some of the busier pedestrian areas, having some sort of fence around those would be quite nice.
Okay, thank you. Seeing we have a couple people online who have raised their hands, so I'm just gonna hear from them real quick. Abby, do you want to say something?
Yeah, looking at River Road in Irving, that project became known to me after I had driven up on an emergency response to a cyclist getting hit at River Road and Division. So maybe looking forward to what else is being done on River Road lower down, because it's great that it's there at Irving, and it seems like looking back at like first response logs that even in a few weeks there were a couple calls specifically to River Road and Division.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. River Road and Division is one of our highest crash corridors in the entire city. And we do have a project that's in the works right now to add 2 roundabouts to Division, which are shown to reduce serious and fatal crashes by about 98%. So stay tuned for that.
There's a record.
Yeah, over the weekend. Yeah. Yeah, over the weekend there was a teenager was killed who was in a car with a crash with another car at River Road and Beacon, which is at the very edge of the UGB, so it is within city limits, but just barely. But definitely a area of concern for sure. And our team was talking about that, and just sort of River Road overall has a lot of safety issues. So okay, Nancy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I'm glad to be here. I wanted to mention one thing that I saw on your list, but I didn't hear you say anything about, and that was Walktober. Walktober was the promotion of coffee shops, and that would give you a sticker and a little discount if you went to the coffee shop. And I just thought that was like brilliant, friendly marketing that I really appreciated and I enjoyed myself. So I wanted to mention that. And I've recently been on biking on Howard, and congratulations. I've been watching that for a long time. It's really terrific. The one thing that I would suggest, considering how much outreach has been done to the people on that street to make sure that they understand what's going on and the positive feedback that you've been getting, it would be really great if there would be one more message, and that would be about the refuse cans, that people need to put them at the easement of their driveway, because especially early in the morning when those cans are blocking the bikeway, if there's an unlit pedestrian and a bike coming and an unlit trash can, there's no recourse for the cyclist because of the concrete. We can't swerve, and the trash cans don't belong in the bikeway, and perhaps a little more messaging to the residents along that way would be terrific. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Nancy. Sue and then Charlie. Charlie and then Sue.
Oh, yeah, it's just so, I've been disgruntled about the outcome of 24th and Amazon. I'm just curious, is the city going to revisit that project in some way? What are the plans there?
Good question. Yes, the city is revisiting it. I don't know what the plans are yet, but basically we've heard pretty overwhelmingly that it feels like it's worse than it was before. As for the crossing, which is really disappointing because it was supposed to be better. So we are aware of that and we are looking at like what we can do to improve it. I think the main thing that our team's talking about is that the median, the way it looked before with the median and the narrow bike lanes was that it created a visual narrowing effect. So people just slowed down there because it felt like it was kind of squeezing them. And now it's like there's these nice wide bike lanes and there's no median. And so there is no squeezing of visual narrowing. Even though the lanes are actually the exact same width as they were before, as far as the driving lane goes. So we're looking at adding some elements that would create that visual narrowing again. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been some just like renegade cones that someone has taken upon themselves to have out there. And although
Good idea. I didn't do it.
I do believe they've been removed by the city and then replaced a couple of times. So we obviously wouldn't just put traffic cones out there, but something to kind of help create that visual narrowing again. Because right now, the new way is that the path doesn't go down into the street and then back up. It stays high the whole time, which is an improvement, but we lost that visual narrowing, which is making people go too fast.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it, basically.
Okay, I was just curious. I mean, I'd already complained about it. Heard from Reed, but I was just curious as to where the thinking could go, because it really is way more hazardous. I mean, as a driver, I went over it today and didn't even notice it was there, in terms of the
You
outrage.
can hit it at like 30.
And as a cyclist, it was the most respected crosswalk in Eugene, and now I've almost gotten hit 2 or 3 times there. So particularly because as a cyclist now, you don't need to slow at all. It's on the same level, so you can just sort of,
It's kind of
there's this
either stop, but then they're not thinking stop it. Yeah, it's a little bit.
like the whole thing just made it worse.
That's
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
I was very excited about it when I heard it was happening.
I was also so excited, and the outcome really hasn't been what we were expecting.
Yeah.
So our team's talking about it.
Great.
Sue and then Alan.
Yeah, just real quickly, I hope something can happen there very quickly,
Yeah.
because, there's still a reservoir of people used to be so attentive to cyclists there, and runners and stuff that, so those habits are still there, but they're gonna fade quickly. If there's nothing to remind people to watch for the path, so I hope you can get something.
They faded during construction. And then
Was it?
they faded during construction. They weren't, people got unused to stopping there because that was closed
Yeah.
all during construction. Yeah.
So, try to reclaim those habits a little bit. The other thing I wrote on Howard, I finally made it out to Howard today. It is an amazing improvement. I was just wondering, it's smooth-ish, the lane. Is there any way of, it looks like there's old pavement and then newer pavement, and it's
I agree.
not
That was
really a
my
theme between them, but it's.
That was my one complaint about Howard, is that it's kind of rough in places for a cyclist, just
Yeah,
trying to
it's-
travel
it's,
through. And I watched some skateboarders and it's like, this seems like a really comfortable skateboard.
Yeah. So
Yes, it is.
I don't know. It would be nice if there was somebody smooth that.
Yeah, I'll run that by the folks who worked on that just to maybe find out why it ended up like that and if there's anything that can be done. Yeah.
Like the old pavement and they added some or something.
Oh, yeah, the street did have to be, like, the pavement had to be widened by about 2 feet. So does it feel like it's like a seam going, yeah, this way? Yeah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, so that's why, as the pavement had to be widened, but it seems like that kind of created an unevenness. Yeah,
It's not awful, but it's
not ideal.
not like a brand new.
Great people are using
like-
it, like,
Yeah, people are using it. It's an upgrade from what it was, but it's not that's good to know, and I wonder if there might be something we can do about that in the future. Alan and then Lucy.
So a lot of these projects have had either delays or consequences like 24th that are not expected, or people who are grumpy, and it doesn't create good PR for the city. And there's a lot of grumpy people out there. If you run next door, boy, I tell you, there are a lot of grumpy people out there. So, and that's that's a problem if we really want to have good facilities and taxpayer support. So I'm just wondering is there a systematic way to better communicate and address some of these kinds of problems kind of in real time so people can learn updates, find out why something might be delayed or what plans are for remediation or so.
Okay.
Reading did something like that last meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and actually, when we talked with Karen last week, she was saying, she seemed to indicate if you get a lot of people saying how good something is, it'll sort of tamp down some of the opposition, so if you have an organized advocacy group that would, say, yes, we want more like this, this is a good thing, it's hard to do that when it's like, why is it taking a year and a half, right? That's kind of hard to rally around, but, anyway, that was one thing we got. We met Karen.
Yeah, it's a good comment, Alan, thanks. I will bring that to the public information officer for Public Works, who is kind of like my communications boss. Rob's like my transportation planning boss, and then Marion's my communications boss. And I think that this is a really good topic for her and I to talk about from like a higher level perspective.
What's Marion's last name?
Marion Suter Barnes. Yeah. Lucy and then McKenna.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for adding the lights to the Fern Ridge path. I think I wrote so appreciate that addition. Progress coming a lot along the way, seeing the kind of a word hole written across them. And now if I forget my bike lights, I won't have to be riding the darts. So thanks for that. And just a comment on this slide, so we're talking about it. I love buffered bike lines. I feel like they give me more space, but I do notice that there's like not as much signage, especially in this picture. I don't know if that's the full picture, but in the first instance, there's like the signs in the middle of the street and on the right side. So just adding maybe some more. Oh yeah, it's covered.
It's got that one sign, but
Or maybe one of those like blinking like solar light things. Or the RRFB, I think it was referred to as earlier. Maybe that. Wait, it's not going very fast.
Or the state law stop for pedestrian signs could be added to visually narrow a little bit.
like in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are
Yeah, you can replace them.
Yes, constant. We could put them on like a flexi thing. Okay, we have McKenna and then Angie.
Yeah, so I guess for River and Irving, so I run through there quite a bit. One thing that I noticed, and I know this isn't necessarily like your problem, but during the construction phase, their pedestrian routing was atrocious. Through that, it was impossible to figure out where I was supposed to go. They had corners completely cut off, so like there were a couple times I was jumping into traffic to get around construction.
Okay.
Which is unnerving, especially on at that intersection.
For sure.
And then I guess following up on Alan's comment about like communication, like construction updates would be helpful. I really like that idea. I know like WashDOT has like quick signs that they put up and be like, if you want more information, call this number, or there's a QR code or something like that. Would be, yeah, really helpful.
You think like out there, it'd be like, go here for updates, like a sign, because
It's like an orange construction sign.
okay, because we have, just so everyone knows, we have this webpage called Road Work Advisories, and it's updated every single Friday, and it's updated for the next week with what is happening on the streets.
Yeah, so like a QR code or something
That
even
takes
just for
you
this page
to
would be
this
helpful.
page. Yeah. And it's definitely a constant battle to get people to know about this page.
Who knows about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like it's in every InMotion newsletter. It's there. It says, want information about what's happening? Go to this page. But it's like it's just really hard to get the word out. And I think your comment about just like it's on the street, which sometimes it is. Sometimes there are billboards that say eugene-or.gov/traffic for updates. It's like there, but it's hard to get people to know about it, but it does exist. It's not perfect because it requires the project managers to submit an update every week, and they're not always super on top of that, but it is more or less accurate each week that it gets updated. It was updated today.
Online daily newspaper,
Yes,
so maybe.
that'd be really nice. Okay, Angie and then Alan. Oh, not Alan, Angie.
Well, kind of on the note of like communicating about projects, less on the side of like the city, but more on the side of like an information bit. LibMove is working on informational posters for existing and proposed, specifically the 24th Avenue bike lane, protected bike lane. Working on posters to inform people on why the infrastructure is there or why it would be a good idea, and addressing like questions or concerns that commonly come up, like leaves in the bike lane or my parking is being taken away. So LibMove will probably start rolling those out in January when we get back. We're finalizing our designs for like the first round of them, but hopefully that is a way that like the community can step in and kind of like fill in some gaps where like maybe not everyone is able to attend a community meeting or like voice their opinion. And then I had another thought, but I forgot. It's about what we were talking about last, about, oh, like in Portland, when I went to the Active Transportation Summit back in May, around there. We were walking around and biking around and we saw a lot of like QR codes and like information about like who to contact about a certain project. So it seems like Portland is doing something similar. Whether it be like transportation or if it was more of like a land use thing that they like planners were using. But I think that was very similar to what we were talking about. And it was cool because like we saw and we were like, oh, I'm gonna look into it. And so it like got us to like go and read what the project was, even though we don't have any stake in it because we're not from Portland.
Right.
Other places are doing that, so.
Yeah, we have found that physical signs are really successful. Like we put, should there be protected bike lanes on 24th Avenue signs all along 24th? And at the meeting a couple nights ago, we asked, how'd you hear about this? And it was just like signs, saw the signs on 24th. So our team is like, okay, it's extra work to go out and place them and then pick them up, but it really does make a big difference. So I'll bring that to Marianne as well from a communications perspective, like sort of more citywide for projects. Okay, I think we're out of time for this. Yes.
I was in a car. Weekend, a friend lives on Centennial, and we're coming from west to east. So we turned from Coburg on to Martin Luther King. And she immediately moved into the right-hand lane. And this is the first time I've seen it in a vehicle. You know, the lane says bus only. She says, oh no, that's only for during games. So, you know, she was completely convinced, and this person takes it all the time. She lives on Centennial in Springfield. And there were people behind us in the lane as well. I looked in the back, you know, there's people, you know, lights coming behind us in the right-hand lane. And so I'm wondering if people are thinking it says bus only, that it only applies to the events at Autzen, and that the rest of the time you can just use it. So
that's so funny because it's the opposite.
I know, but that's just the buses that come to go for parking.
Okay.
That's just a viewpoint.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Sounds like more communication is needed for MLK also. I do feel like a communication subcommittee for the ATC could be a really good idea. So just throwing that out there. As the communications person, I'm like, I could use some help.
Time for a break. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody on the ATC this year, and for those rolling off. Very grateful to us at these sessions together and had all these discussions. So thanks.
Yay! Thanks, Lucy.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, we'll take a break. Let's be back at 6:42. You got 4 minutes. You got 4 minutes.
Actually, Franklin. Oh, that left onto Walnut. Wow, how did you manage that?
Okay, everyone, bringing it back. We have fallen behind schedule per usual. So let's get moving.
One of the things he talked about is, traffic diversion and it's not a little bit. Makes it really difficult to use, traffic diverters to commute what. That's what would keep cars from doing through traffic in our given street, so it significantly reduces the number of cars using the street, which makes it for less than that. And so the infrastructure committee took a look at the issue, and I think Charlie or Peter, one of you was gonna present, what we came up with, is that true? Or Alan, somebody, it was gonna be not me.
Maybe it's been-
Yeah. I've got it up here, so you don't have to do much presenting.
Great, yes, everyone just read it, because rather than trying to go through it. You know, the essence of it's in the first paragraph, and the rest of it is background and, you know, a little bit kind of fleshes it out. And I guess what we're really here for today is to see if the committee concurs, and we should go ahead and send this out to staff. A good number of us are with the I don't know, questions, comments, concerns, changes?
Good letter, thank you.
Yeah, it's very straight. I one thing, and it had nothing to do with, it was only loosely related, so I'll just say it really quickly, which is this kind of brings up to me, maybe another thing some committee could tackle, which is what other administrative roles exist that we have no idea about? Because once you start getting like nitpicky like this, it's like, sure, I have no problem with this, but how many like thousands of these could exist where we could just like have some.
Well, I actually
Opinion.
I wrote Reed, and I mean, Willow was on that, I can't remember who else was on that conversation, to ask, you know, so there's this one on diverters, you know, is there something, another one for traffic calming, another one, or, you know, whatever, and. But this is kind of a standalone, unique thing within those different things. I mean, there are procedures for doing traffic calming. And so forth. Administrative rule governing, and here we're looking, you know, we started, I think the universe of things to look at is what are those interventions that the city identifies in the complete streets guidelines to achieve the goals of each street, you know, and this one sticks out as for some reason historically rooted for having its own administrative rule where others don't. So there may be other things in other realms that would be of concern, but this does seem to be kind of an outlier in terms of, you know, those tools that you can use in the complete streets guidelines.
I get, my other thing is there's the administrative rules, and then there's also like the actual city code.
Mhm.
And there's a different document, but I'd be curious, I mean, that's a whole other thing, but there's literal code that says skateboarding downtown's basically illegal. And I identified skateboarding and no other form of transportation, and so that's the code.
That's harder to deal with.
Anyway, but I do think there are. Yeah, that's true. So the other thing, administrative rules are a lot easier to change, but anyway, we don't have a lot of time, but I think it behooves us to maybe find out what code and administrative rules are standing in our way of getting things done. I think what was interesting about this one is that Reed said he didn't know about it, and so like it just stumbled. So yeah, I just think there's information we're missing. I don't know.
And code, at least you could look at the code and find it, read it. The administrative rules don't exist in any way that's searchable or readable that I know of.
Yeah, it does make me wonder if it would be possible for us to reach out to like the city manager's office, which is like not just transportation planning. It's like, whoa, zoom out. Like, I wonder if they have more of like a library or a place where this stuff is listed. Because from my team's perspective, it's just kind of like, what? I don't know. I don't know. So maybe that's something. I think I have an email from Sue or Charlie that's like, what other administrative rules are there? I might be able to sort of try and connect to someone in the city manager's office to just be like, is there anyone at the city who would actually be able to like answer this question efficiently? and not have to go like digging too much. So that's a thought. I will put that in here. Willow will reach out to city manager's office.
There's no doubt a bunch of administrative rules.
With, yeah, we want stuff that's like transportation specific. Okay.
Sure, I'll move to approve and suggest that we send it to city staff.
I second.
Sorry, I'm not facilitator.
Lucy left.
Any discussion?
Is that?
I think that's, we're advisory to us, that we're advisory. to
Mhm.
them. I think that's.
That's who you can send stuff to, yeah.
Okay, okay, all in favor? Okay. All opposed or? Okay,
Unanimous.
great, thank you.
Cool. Let's move on to advanced stop lines for bikes. This is not something that has a like direct reason that we're talking about it. There's no project upcoming or anything like that, but it was just something that a committee member was like, I like these and I want to talk about them more. So I grabbed a couple Google Street View images just to explain what an advanced stop line is for bikes. So this is one, we only have a couple in town, but this is Lincoln Street at 7th. And the stop line for cars is right here, and the stop line for bikes is right here. And an advanced stop line basically just puts the biker like a little bit ahead of the driver so that when there is a straight, like when the light turns green, this is 7th. So it's 4 lanes of traffic going this way. This person who wants to turn onto 7th, the biker's like in front of them already.
Yeah.
And so it kind of puts them in a different sight line.
It's almost like the.
It's kind of like an advanced
Yeah.
pedestrian interval, but
My favorite infrastructure.
I know. LPIs, we love you. Here's another example of, it's like, this is a little different because this is Willamette Street at 13th, and Willamette Street's a shared street, but then we kind of carved out this little like, you can wait here because then a bike lane appears across. So this one is also like technically an advanced stop line because the stop line is, I don't know why it's not painted, but there's supposed to be a stop line. This one's kind of, it technically is an advanced stop. So those were the two. Reed said there was one more, but I couldn't, the Google Street View wasn't updated enough for me to get an image of. So anyway, the other one, no, I don't.
The Lincoln one, very.
Yeah, the Lincoln, this is just like the prime example of,
I mean, with how crazy that is.
Yeah.
That is a.
and the expected turning movement, like chances are very high that someone off of Lincoln's going to turn right onto 7th. So it makes a lot of sense right there. So anyway, what are current examples? We talked about that. Thoughts on this measure? This like safety measure?
I mean, let's put them everywhere. Why wouldn't we? They're so cheap. Like, I mean, is there anything getting in the way of and I don't know what statistically if they show they're safer, but it's intuitively, I mean, who doesn't want to be more visible to the cars? And that does make you more visible and gives you that little head start and everywhere, right?
I do it, I just go forward into the crosswalk and to get in front of the cars, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, which if there's a pedestrian, then I back up. But yeah.
Against them.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I can kind of bring some questions probably to Reed. I think he'd be the one who knows like why we put this one on 7th, like what was the impetus for that versus other places that don't have them. So would there be any reason why we wouldn't want to put them? Get that question.
I guess I'm kind of also wondering the criteria for like that being added. It's like since it was outdated, you couldn't see it. So maybe if it's like a newer thing, why did they decide to add it when they like repainted or repaved or whatever? So then maybe we can like have a better understanding of where they're added, so we can maybe advise to add them to different projects, if that's a thing.
Okay. Oh,
It's the wrong screen is shared.
is the wrong screen?
Oh, that's.
I have the wrong screen share. I am really not succeeding with this. I feel like usually I'm pretty good at this, but I am not doing very good today. Screen 2. And then why is it showing them notes when this is the screen I'm sharing? It's so weird. Okay, I'm just gonna stream it one more time. I don't know why I'm struggle bussing today. Okay, let's just do that.
It really did, yeah.
Dangerously.
Okay, looks like we're there. And I'll go back to I don't think they got to see the Lincoln Street advanced stop bar, which is there now. Okay, what's the criteria for that, for this measure being added? I think we were at Sue and then Peter.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you have any sense, do the cars actually stop back where they're supposed to, or?
Yeah, they do, I think. Well, I don't know. You don't think so?
I ride this intersection a lot on Lincoln. And cars never stop at the advanced stop. They stop.
I go for the bus.
Mm.
That was gonna be my question, is how do they know where exactly to stop? It's confused, it must be confusing to cars. I mean,
But they think you should scrub the side of the crosswalk line so that the crosswalk gets bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder how they're
There you
applied
go.
to other places, maybe there's a way.
Seems like we have stuff to do.
I noticed even here too at this intersection with Lincoln, just looking at the curbs and the yellow paint kind of fading, just maybe refurbishing some of the side, like you were saying with 24th, making it more narrow, just something to highlight that there is a stop line there.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this is gonna get a whole new bicycle treatment.
Right, this specific location maybe isn't super relevant because in the next year or two, it's gonna get a two-way protected bikeway on it, but the idea, good question. Do cars actually stop at the further back stop line? Sounds like usually no.
I got it, keep it along, I guess. So. You know, when you have like an intersection and there's a green light, but you can't get all the way through, that cars often end up in the middle of the
Mhm.
street. Legally, you're supposed to stop, you know, you can't get, so, but a lot of the time, you know. I just feel like it's probably like a situation like that, it probably lowers the percentage, but there's probably a high that's just my.
Well,
thought
and that's like the idea with the
percentage of
failure. Like bus and transit only lanes too, where it's like, sure, people are gonna drive in the bad lanes, but it lowers the percentage of people who are like speeding by, and the people who are driving in the bad lanes is not as many. And I think we have a lot of interventions like that where we're like, we can't make people follow rules, but we can put them out there, and it kind of like makes some difference potentially.
And as a cost measure, way cheaper than the things that actually work. You know, speed bumps and stuff.
Yeah, stuff that actually works tends to be
Having
expensive.
seven
Yeah,
times
concrete
the
curbs.
four-lane street.
Yeah. So it sounds like there's just some questions from this committee about this measure, this safety measure, which is basically like, you know, why is there a reason we wouldn't want to put them? Why do we put them when we have? What's the criteria for making that decision?
I'd like to know if there are any statistics that show that it improves safety.
Oh yeah.
Might be,
Did I write that down?
which I guess one of us could research.
Oh yeah. Any stats to show that they are safer? Question mark. And maybe examples from other cities. Could be like if the ATC does want to do some research on this, like examples from other cities are really helpful.
It's a little bit different, but there's a bike box at 11th and Alder
Mhm.
with green paint. So there's a stop bar that's earlier, and people do stop
Yeah.
there. But that's a little different situation because it's not a protected, intersection like that.
Right, and the bike box serves a different function.
Right, so that you can make a,
You can get in front of the cars
Yeah.
for some reason.
yeah, so that you can make a right-hand turn across them.
Mhm.
So it seems like the sense of the group is that, yeah, we should do this unless there's some good reason not to. But we don't know about that.
Well, it sounds like we should figure out how to make them effective. Like if this
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
working, then, so I do think just making sure there's only one white line there with do it, so the white line makes a jag for the bike, because then there's no other visual cue why you wouldn't stop that, at the clear white, single white line, like the street. Stop.
Or yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking, Josh. Something like really obvious.
It's kind of like in front of the fire station, there's that like keep this area clear or whatever.
This area clear, yeah, that's the word.
That would be a lot of words in that little spot, but.
But keep clear.
Keep
There you
clear.
go.
I just start making real hostile infrastructure. Okay, we feel good about this?
It doesn't seem like that center line should be up there either. That should be behind the advanced. I mean, the stop.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Something.
Okay, we can move on. I'm gonna stop sharing because we don't have anything to share for this. Wow, we got back on track. Look at us.
Okay, so departing members, thoughts and celebration. So we have a bunch of departing members.
We do. If you're departing, raise your hand. Sad. I brought you certificates that you get to have of appreciation. And it says, on behalf of the City of Eugene Public Works, for your dedicated service on the Eugene Active Transportation Committee, and then the dates of your service specific to you. Thank you for your efforts to make Eugene a more walkable, bikeable, and accessible city. Signed by Rob Innerfeld, Transportation Planning Manager. Right, put it on your resume. There you go. Yeah, take out time out of the name. Well, okay, in total transparency, usually we have the Public Works Director sign these. But he's been out of the office for a couple weeks. So he was not available. So I had Rob sign them.
Very nice of you.
And $5 gift card to Community Cup Coffee. So thank you for your service on the Active Transportation Committee.
They're very nice.
You're welcome. I designed it myself. So we've got like 10 or so minutes for for each person who's departing to kind of share some parting thoughts if you have any. We could maybe start here and just go around.
Sure, yeah. Thanks to the city of Eugene for making this opportunity possible. It was a great learning experience. I learned so much about obviously active transportation and planning here at the city and the people involved. I gained a great respect for the planning department, all, just really thoughtful, capable people here. So, the city staff, when you don't do something like this, it just seems like this kind of amorphous, like anonymous, like city people. But you get to work with them and see the work, and it really puts a great face to the thoughtfulness behind the work. And of course, we're meeting everyone. It was great to meet so many people from so many different walks of life here in Eugene, and
So yeah, I had a great experience, I feel pretty good about my own participation and that I had really good attendance. I biked to every meeting. I felt proud of myself. And yeah, I wish I had been able to do a little bit more in terms of involvement with subcommittees and actually doing work. So that's my one regret is maybe I can come back when I'm retired and I think I'd be a lot more functional and helpful. But otherwise, great experience and really appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, Jerry. I guess I'm next. So yes, I'm stepping down too and not doing the 4-year instead of the 2-year. And that was really a strategic decision on my side. This has been amazing. I'm really going to miss the camaraderie I'm feeling tonight. My hope is that mostly I'll be sitting there for the next couple of years. And the strategic decision really was that the folks who sit around this table are amazing. And your team, Willow, is amazing. I lead meetings for a living. Some of you know that. And I don't usually see this much capability and this much dedication and this much like having our acts together. So I kind of thought that I can leave that to you and maybe do some more with Cycle of Change and or liaison with our new mayor and or some other things in the environmental and natural resource climate area, which is where my passion is as well. So thank you all and for all your good work and continued good work. I have a couple of requests, one of which is I would love to see Charlie and Alan in particular who are staying on and active with the Cycle of Change, and here that we establish a formal mechanism where you all tell us what's happening here in the Cycle of Change, keep those communication lines open. I'd love to see us have an alumni ATC, something or other. Maybe that's that we just get the agendas coming our way as well, but there's a lot of expertise. I mean, Jerry's been fabulous with that. And so Mary and Sue as well, so keep that expertise going. And then the third thing I'll say is because I lead meetings and I'm a collaboration specialist for living, Charlie, Josh, if you're going to step up and elsewhere, if I can be a resource, I'm happy to do that. So with the planning of the retreat, for example, and or other things. So, and thank you all very much. And for my certificate, have fun.
Guess I'm next then. Yeah, so I was only able to stay on for this year. It's been a really good educational experience for me. I think I've told some of you, but my company is starting to make steps towards opening an office here locally. And so my workload is going to be shifting a little bit more local. So to avoid any potential conflicts of interest and that sort of thing, I've decided to step down. But my role as a consultant is very different than the public agencies work. And so it's been a really interesting experience to learn how you guys do everything in the city and learn more about the projects that are going on. And also get public perspective on how people feel about certain things that I may not get otherwise. Really appreciate everyone's time and this experience, and hopefully we'll see you guys elsewhere.
To our fearless leader.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this group. It's most of my friends out in the rest of the world, they're all environmentalists and they're all very health and fitness oriented, and they all drive their car everywhere and don't think twice about it, And I just sometimes feel like I live on a different planet, So it's good to come here and find that there are some other like-minded people around, So I'm really happy about a lot of, what we've accomplished. There still are issues. I think all of us, we sort of really want to be advocates, but that's not really our role here. And then we're supposed to be advisory to staff, but the staff already agrees with us. So how do we advocate to them? But, so there's all these little frustrations and stuff, but I would just encourage you, just you know, if you're wondering whether you're crossing over the line, is this too much advocacy? Just go for it. I mean, staff can tell you, if you stay in your lane, you're not doing, you know, they'll tell us if, you know, so just go for it. Just do what's important. And, you know, if we get our hands slapped, oh, well, learning experience. And I would just, say to all of you who are not leaving now, it's sort of like, okay, you guys are the senior people now. You take over, get, you know, please step up and, you know, take some of the leadership roles and stuff. And don't worry about if, you know, maybe you don't know chapter and verse of the TSP, although there's some, you know, you can read it over your holiday vacation. But, you know, don't worry about knowing everything there is to know. I mean, you already know mostly what the staff needs to hear. So you're people who, you know, are out in the community trying to do active transportation, and you don't, you know, work at it. You're not totally immersed in it. You're just using these facilities and trying and work, living around other people. That's your expertise. And so that's what you need to bring forward. And so don't be shy about not knowing everything. You know, there are people like Alan and me who've been doing this forever, and, you know, we do know a lot of what's happening in history and stuff, and feel free to ask, you know, I'm not going anywhere. But yeah, it's exciting to have new folks stepping up to leadership roles. So, thanks.
Thanks, Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah. I approve.
Started 4 years ago, and each year's got better, and I was reflecting that is, and not just for me, but I mean, for me, but also I just feel like it's gotten stronger. And I was thinking about why that is, and I kind of wanted to mention a few things because I'd like to see them keep going, you know, if possible. And I just want to acknowledge the new staff that came in. I mean, the transportation staff is great to work with. And the new people, I feel like really upped the game. Willow, you were, you know, when you came on, I feel like, oh, we have somebody like regular who's gonna, you know, be I feel like you were our partner and everything. So I really appreciate that. I think you really helped a lot. And then Jody and Catherine also I thought were great new hires. And so I feel like the transportation staff has gotten stronger. The committees finally worked this year, I feel like, you know, at least a shout out to the sidewalk committee. I thought it was great. And you were just as involved as you could be. I could never do this if I were still working, you know, so the people who are working and doing this, I just say whatever you've brought is enough, and it's really good and appreciated, and it's really hard to do it when you're working. And the infrastructure committee too, I know that sometimes I heard that maybe not everybody could show up, but it seems like you guys had a lot of output. I really think it's important to stay super involved with the agenda because the city brings important things to discuss, and but I do think, even though we're not an advocacy group, I think the way to sort of advocate for better, you know, better active transportation in Eugene is through agenda setting. So I'm a real advocate for like, what do you want to talk about? Because they've, you know, so far they've said yes to everything. And so I think that is a super important thing to really think about what you want to talk about. And then I think the outcome of having more specific written recommendations to me has really been important, because I feel like then we have a sort of a body of work that people can look back at and say, oh, this is what they accomplished this year. And, you know, and it's something written. It's not just a discussion that floats away. It's like, no, this is what we said, you know, it's what we decided. So I think that is a really good thing to continue to do. I think focusing on pedestrian concerns this year with the sidewalk committee was good, because I think this group can skew bicycle. And I think that I believe pedestrians are at the foundation of transportation, active transportation. So I think it's really good to keep bringing that in. I'd love to see more LTD stuff. And the last thing I wanted to say was I appreciate, you know, people who come to community members who show up online and who come here, because that makes it more, and Rachel who comes, you know, it's just sort of like feels like a little web, you know, of people who are concerned, and it's really nice. And something that I didn't get to say when you presented was I feel like the transportation team is really open to feedback, and I really admire how you guys like when you make a mistake, you say, yeah, we made a mistake here, because that's not an easy thing to say, you know, and you, if you're gonna be, you know, pushing forward and, you know, making change, you're gonna make mistakes, you know, but to be able to say, yeah, we made a mistake, we're gonna get better next time, you know, I think that's really admirable. So I think it's been great. Thank you, everyone.
And I will mention, I just want to throw this out there. It's kind of a kudos to everyone who's leaving and everyone who's here right now. Jody, I was talking to Jody and she was like, I just want you to tell the ATC that like this whole sidewalks thing wouldn't even exist. She's like, if they hadn't started asking us about this and pushing on it and writing letters, she's like, the fact that Jennifer wrote a memo to city council about sidewalks, like that came from this committee. Which I just think is so cool to like see your action. And like you said, like setting those agenda, like I think 3 years ago, you were like, can we talk about sidewalks at the next meeting? And it just kind of became this thing and turned into a subcommittee and gained a lot of traction. So I think it's like, this
Well, that's
committee
really
makes a
nice.
difference. Yeah, it makes a big difference for sure. And same with like the traffic diverters and advanced stop line for bikes, like just on this agenda. Those were just things that people were like, what about this? And now you all have a letter about traffic diversion that you're gonna send, and it's like maybe it'll take us somewhere. Not everything goes somewhere, but some stuff does.
Well, we appreciate that, yeah, you guys are on our side.
Yeah.
We listen to it, so that's.
Yeah. The written communication does make a big difference, though. I think there's a lot more pressure for us to respond to a letter versus like it's in the notes from a meeting and there was a discussion. So that has been a big change, and I think it makes a big difference. Yeah. Oh, I miss you guys.
We'll probably see each other every week. I mean,
yeah. Okay, the last thing on our agenda is for us to do a co-chair vote. So Sue is terming off, who's been a co-chair for several years, and Lucy is stepping down as co-chair. So at the last meeting, Josh and Charlie had both expressed interest in being co-chairs. So are you both still interested in being co-chairs?
I've expressed a willingness to be.
Lucy was that. Yeah, it's always a little like, ooh, to step into it, but now that I've been doing this for a couple years now, so I feel like I can offer a lot of support and guidance for the co-chairs.
But, and I got speaking, at least for me, I chair a lot of meetings, so I feel.
Well,
Yes, I mean, to some degree, I'm willing to do it just because I like meetings to run well and I know how to do, so, more than. Do that.
Yeah. There's an interest and the willingness, there's a thing like, ooh, once you get into something, sometimes it's like. Really involved, or you, I think. Feel like you aren't putting as much as you wanted to, but you have to try to find out. I don't chair so many meetings, but I've done a fair amount of facilitation, I think. I'm not afraid of time. I think I've done that already as a committee member, just like, hey, which I think is important. So, and yeah, I'm very interested in agenda setting, as Marian was talking about, and helping like organize, how we kind of can stay on track or be more informed. So that's exciting. But I also, someone else were like really excited. Wouldn't fight them for it.
Is there anyone else who's interested in being co-chair? I didn't expect that. I didn't expect anyone to be interested because I feel like you would have probably made that known by now. So that was your guys' pitches.
Like I made a very. But it's also pretty different. So.
And Lucy will still be on the committee, and she did say that she's available to like fill in as co-chair as needed. So there's that as well. Well, with that in mind.
I don't think we can. We departing people. We departing people.
Until the end.
Oh, thanks. Okay.
Yeah, you got everyone who's stepping off are. Who seconded that? Charlotte did. Okay. Unanimous. Honestly, though, thank you both for being willing to step into the role. It's kind of essential. And so we have to have somebody to do it. So it's really exciting that the two of you are going to, and I'm excited to work together. So thank you.
We have 2 people who know how to facilitate meetings, which I
Um,
So that leads us to project updates.
yeah. BPAC, are you still on?
I'm not on BPAC anymore.
Okay.
I moved to Eugene a couple of months ago, so unfortunately that disqualifies me. So I didn't go to, they had a meeting in November that I didn't go to, and they're having a meeting this month. They're gonna be, I know they're wrapping up their, 2024 end of year report, and that would be available probably early next year, just to look at online.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds like I should reach out and see if they want to send somebody.
Yeah.
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 And did we ever end up with a liaison to the PAC or?
We did not.
We were looking for,
We're
maybe
hoping
some of the new members.
We're hoping one of the new members would be interested in the BPAC liaison role to share it with Brad. I think Brad's still open to doing it sometimes, but he wasn't able to make it this month, the meeting was on Tuesday, so I don't think we had representation there.
I can actually do that again now because I'm changing job.
Oh, okay.
Be back.
Yeah. I'll write that down. Either available. Yeah, Misty stepped off the committee as well, but she's not here. But I do have her certificate and her gift card. Misty, if you watch this on YouTube later, hit me up. Okay, and then I'll reach out to BPAC and see if they want to send somebody. Charlotte, I was thinking the one thing that you said about having open communications between cycles of change in the ATC, I wonder if it would make sense to attempt a liaison role for cycles of change in the same way that we do BPAC, where there's like someone who we have like a little 2 or 3 minute agenda item to like report what COC is working on. I don't know. That's just an idea. Just throwing it
I
out
was
there.
thinking it in a reverse way, but doing both ways would make a lot of sense. And I'll pitch the ATC alumni idea again.
Okay. Yeah, true. Any sub
changes open to all comers, so.
Do we have any subcommittee report backs?
Committee would.
Oh yeah. Anything from sidewalks subcommittee? Right, yeah. Okay.
Thank you for you wrote something to our committee and I forgot to respond to that, but.
That's true, we got
Yeah.
the memo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Went to all ATC.
I sent a short response to all of ATC, basically thanking you for the letter and kind of proposing a slightly alternate timeline.
Right, which I think is fine.
Okay.
Is it okay if I just tell you that?
Yeah, you don't have to.
Okay, then.
That's cool. No. Yeah. It was good to see them now.
Oh, that Jennifer wrote. I
have an update regarding the railroad crossing. I learned, some of you know this, but I learned that the owners of the 66 Hotel property have sold. And now a developer wants to put an 11-story high rise there. Just what we need and you think is more high rises. Clearly we do. And I have been in contact with planning and development and also with engineering about the possibility of a safer crossing, potentially an underpass. I have not heard back from either them nor back from Rob, so I'm hoping that they're talking with each other and there'll be some more conversation I don't know exactly how far the developer has gotten in their planning to know whether which negotiation there is. Broker negotiation.
You know, with the local developer and.
I doubt it. I doubt any local developers doing 11-story buildings.
Thanks for the update. I think we're ending ahead of time.
Well, I'll just. Something I would, I didn't think about it till I was sitting to your presentation, but in addition to hearing what the city has done for 2024, it'd be nice if one of these, and maybe we can do it at the first meeting next year, even though it'll be too late for the folks who've already left us, but to review what the committee's actually done in 2024. We've submitted, to look back and say, okay, here are the things, where we made a recommendation or whatever, and here's what happened, just to get a sense for what we've actually accomplished over the course of a year. And, it could be useful too, at the first meeting next year to bring, the folks who are joining us up to speed on kind of what we've done. But that'd be, because I've lost track. I don't remember some of what we did back at the beginning of the year and all the recommendations we made and what happened with them. So it would be kind of cool as part of an end of year review to have that.
Thinking about dragging, tackling that.
Buried in webs or Google Drive is a document of all the things that we actually adopted, or not just things we discussed or had feelings about, the things we actually wrote and got adopted. And Josh was interested in making it a little sexier, and it's pretty bare bones Excel spreadsheet.
Well, thanks to Sue, we have it at all. But it definitely could be better.
It does exist, and it's defined. But it is there.
I do wonder, the BPAC put together an annual report of their work each year. Was that, did the staff liaison put that together, or was it like the BPAC committee? It was more the committee putting together to presenting it to the city council as well, since BPAC so I don't know if staff person from transportation was involved as well, but when I was talking to the committee when I was still part of BPAC, we were divvying up, like writing up portions of that report. Okay.
We saw one of those year-end reports maybe a couple years ago. It was really good.
Yeah. So that's, I guess, something for members to think about is like, if we want to do an annual report, like how we could sort of divvy that up among members or maybe give it to a subcommittee or something like that. So
yeah,
sounds like it's not something I have to do. I mean, I guess I could.
I don't
because all of the notes, like every meeting's notes are online, so I think that too would be a good place to just go through and be like, what did we
Well, it'd be
accomplish?
easier after we actually accomplish something, just write it down then, rather than having to go back.
Yeah.
Though it can make, I do think there is a follow-up. So, we sent a letter on diverters, did those. Right. I did miss a meeting, but maybe,
That's great.
Yeah, we can get more in depth with that at our co-chair meeting, which I will message you both about. Yes, all the party members automatically get added to a listserv that I have that's just like is called interested parties, and it's just the monthly I send them the agenda and the notes from the previous meeting. So you'll all just get added to that, and if you don't want that, you'll have to email me and tell me that you want me to take you off.
Like they add gossip to it.
Also just intel about, it goes to like 300 people or something, so. Peter.
Every time I bike and walk across the railroad, I think about the railroad quiet projects, and it's nice that I would make biking cheap.
Nope. Yep. Sitting ducks. Yeah. All right, everybody. Final meeting of the year. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Jerry. It was really great to have you. Sure. Is it wrong? That probably happened. I'm so sorry. Yeah, of course. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm so sorry. about your name. That sucks.
This is not for me. Thank you.
Yeah, happy to reprint it for you, no problem. Okay. On and off tonight. I wonder if they have my mic.
So we mic'd up.
Well, this person, Cynthia Black, she attends pretty much every meeting online. And she said on and off tonight. Yeah, so I think I may have my mic setting wrong I may have had my mic setting wrong this time. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah. I ended up far in between when I filled it out and went and got it scheduled. It came in first. Scrambled down and like, I probably like when I somewhere downtown, I go to a meeting online. Would be easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Perfect. All right, that works. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I go in.
Yeah.
I think you were talking about very motivated about last month.
They're tracking.
Oh, yeah. I think I was online last month and I probably participated.
Yeah.
But then like, it's like read that memo, like.
Yeah.
So we'll need sometime in addition to this, sometime, this year.
I run sometimes.
How we.
Yeah, I think.
Right.
Using moments like something powerful like. It's awesome. I'm just creating some of these committee talks. I'm
Okay.
Yeah, might as well schedule it, right?
We go. How this will be too, but I don't know.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, well, we talking about with some ideas for groups.
And I thought.
Yeah, very
Are there
like change, yeah. She's like.
But no students, yeah, because they need more pedestrians. Everyone's pedestrians.
Yeah.
What's it in here?
Oh, really?
Oh,
nice.
Here.
That's great.
Is it here? Yeah.
Yeah, I have. So probably. Yeah, you absolutely.
Yeah, you got comments, you know,
Just came to fire.
didn't really speak that too much.
Do let me know how it can be
Have a really big.
I will.
If.
I'm sure we're happy to-
River District is really successful, like, you know.
Is that about?
Group hub with tons of
Yes.
people walking.
Yes, that's what,
And people like that, so we're, train operators are still gonna be lasting